Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another video on vCockpits Live. I hope you liked the previous one and I hope it came in handy for most of you, if not all of you, especially newbies and beginners out there. Fellow friends, I'm going to be demonstrating today a cold and dark startup procedure, but this one is going to be special simply because it'll be done as per real world SOPs. Get your pen and a paper and let's head to the cockpit. Right, as you can see, pretty much all systems are off due to the absence of an electrical source. Makes sense? Hell yeah. Let's get started. First things first, we shall turn the battery on by simply closing the guard. Guys, you'll notice that most switches that are guarded are switches that could thematically interfere with an important part of the systems if manipulated by inadvertence. Now, we don't want that to happen in flight. Moving on to alternate flap switch, where flight controls are situated. Basically, just making sure the guard is latched. Then we close the standby power to auto in case of a sudden loss of electrical power. We quickly take a look at fuel pumps and hydraulic electrics, ensuring they're off, beside the wipers that must be in park position. Next to gear lever, down, that's great, and we got 3 green lights. Another spot to confirm that is right over here aft overhead panel. Right, so the next thing we want to do is to run some fire tests. Let's go for engines. And then the APU fire. And then the cargo fire. So aside from the fire warning bell sound and the engine fire switch eliminating, the master fire warn light will also eliminate. Now we're in that phase where we need some external power. In order to find that out, we call the ground using this button here. Then the dispatcher would tell us whether the ground power unit is available or not. That is actually something we really need to expedite doing, because without external power, you see the battery is discharging. Now since we have the ground power, we can just turn it on, and here we go. Now that our aircraft is fully powered, we set the IRS to nav, then it should turn to align. Then we turn the display knob to heading. It should tell us the time needed for the IRS to align. And then we run the Mach airspeed warning test and stall warning test number 1 and 2. Then a quick visual check on the EEC. Oxygen for crew should be normal. Down to check the MFV. So engine page for oil pressure, temperature and quantity. A minimum of 12 cards is okay. The system page would visualize the quantity of hydraulics and pressure. So after we load the aircraft with sufficient fuel for the trip, we must turn on the hydraulic pump electricals in order to be able to see what's going on with the hydraulic pressure. We should have about a minimum of 2,800 psi as pressure square inch. Let's carry on. Emergency exit lights arm, and then we test the attendant call, which they're the ding dong. Next, we just take a quick look at the emergency escape ropes, and then up there for the flight recorder, the test, the light should come off, and then back to normal. We latch the guard. Then on the bottom left hand side of the captain seat, we check the oxygen. Too bad that the Zebo is not demonstrating that, but we should have like a yellow cross. And then test light, which is very important actually. So I personally prefer to stand by the door just to have a clear visual, or I would say global visual contact with all the lights, starting from bottom to top. That's about it. Just put it back to bright. We must not forget to test the GPWS. That's ground proximity warning system.
Wind shear. Terrain.
Alright, we just kind of wait for all the warnings to come to an end.
Airspeed low.
Then we want to make sure the clock is on UTC, and then nose wheel steering, nothing to really bother with. Since the IRS is taking longer to align, we're just gonna try to expedite that by going to the FMC, enter the IRS. Now all we got to do is put the 4 ICAO code for the airport we're at, and then the GPS will try to find the best coordinates. And then we set it on the IRS position, and we should have the alignment now. Bingo. After we program our FMC, we just run an overhead scan. Yaw damper on, going down for navigation all normal, fuel pumps. Let's check this crossfeed. Yep, all good. Fuel pumps on. Moving up. All looks good here. And then we turn on the APU as we're about to depart. The EGT pressure gauge needle should go all the way up to 8. And then window heats on. Fasten seatbelt on.
Captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. We do ask that all passengers take your seat at this time and please fasten your seatbelt.
We're at the pressurization
Just
counter
as a
now.
reminder, we cannot leave the gate until all carrying items are properly put away. All overhead bins are closed and all passengers are seated.
And moving down, I've already loaded the flight attitude and the landing attitude. And then for the lights, since we're about to depart, we turn the anti-collision on.
Flight attendants prepare for departure, cross-check and all call, thank you.
So the APU takes time to come alive. So the APU exhaust gas temperature needle goes up to 800 Celsius and then stabilizes at 500 Celsius. Since we have the APU on bus now, currently our power is generated by the APU. Now if you turn this knob to APU gen, gives us the voltage. On the exterior we can hear this unbearable noise coming out of the APU exhaust and the indication of high temperature as well. Next we're going for an MCP thorough scan. So the VORs are on, rain, weather radar, a couple of other components. So flight director on the captain's side, and then the first officer side, the auto throttle on, and then I know for a fact that our V2 is 121. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's 129. Then we recycle the VNAV and LNAV. Recycle master caution. Moving down to this section here, the auto brake on RTO, that's rejected takeoff. Reset the fuel flow for our next trip. And then moving on to the throttle, we check. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, that's a warning. Looking good. Parking brake is set. The stab trims are normal. That's how we want them to be. Next to communication panel, just making sure the active and standby frequencies are already set. Aileron and rudder trim are 3 and 0. For the rudder trim, we just turn the knob a little, just to make sure the little arrow is pointing at 0. Now what's coming next is quite exciting. Engine start up. On the pressurization panel, we're going to need the APU bleed on, and then we turn the engine start switch to ground. The N1 and N2 should be rising now, so we're just gonna simply wait for the N2 to rise until it gets to around the 20 to 25%. Then we go for the engine start levers from cutoff to idle. So once it's done, the engine start switch jumps automatically to auto. We put in continuous. We are doing the exact same actions again for engine 1. N2 is rising again. Once it reaches between 20 to 25%, that really differs from a company to another. So 25%, engine start lever to oh, okay, got it. To idle. Notice what happened to the engine start switch when it's almost, the N2 is almost stabilizing, so jumps to auto. Then we set the ignition for both engines. Let's turn the generators on for engine 2 and then engine 1. Now we can get rid of the APU. Back to the pressurization panel. APU bleed off, isolation valve on auto. Eventually both backs should be auto. Dear friends and followers, our aircraft is ready for a trip. I hope you enjoyed the content and see you soon.